I recently watched Luc Besson's version of Dracula, released in 2025. It's yet another retelling of the story. We all know it, but this one in particular is very much indebted to Francis Ford Coppola's film version, Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992. It replays the romantic element of it, it replays the very gothic element to it, and it is so derivative of that film that I really don't understand why it exists. There's nothing here that's in any way interesting or original. You have an unnamed priest, unnamed for no particular reason, who takes the Van Helsing equivalent role, played by Christoph Waltz, who sleepwalks his way through the whole picture. Caleb Landry Jones as Dracula is not so repellent in a monstrous animalistic way, just kind of you'd cross the road to avoid him. There are scenes where he manages to be both over the top and underplaying at the same time, and his version of Dracula just doesn't stand apart. There's nothing interesting or original or fresh about this. What's particularly odd is this version was released only a few months after Robert Eggers' remake of Nosferatu, which, as I say, is a remake of a specific version of the Dracula story, but it had its own style, it had its own meter, it had its own attitude towards the vampire and the environment and all the different elements and characterizations that make up the original story. It felt like something fresh, felt like something different, a new perspective on that story. This doesn't. It feels like a warmed over 90s cable TV ripoff with a bored big guest star, an uninteresting lead, uh, various anonymous supporting actors. The most significant difference, really, I think, is changing the setting from London to Paris, as it was a French production, albeit shot in English. But it's so flat, it's so rote, it's so lacking in anything resembling a point. I really wonder what the point of making this film was. Um, Apparently, Besson really liked working with Jones on his previous film and wanted to make something else and had the idea of casting him as Dracula. But there are so like there is no limit on what you can do with Dracula. It's a public domain character. You can do anything with it. And instead, just rehashing a perfectly good existing version, you could. Yeah, it's just the paucity of Besson's imagination. It's a long time. It feels like a very long time since he created the cinéma de Luc and reinvented French cinema. He hasn't really made a great film for getting on for 30 years. I very much enjoyed Lucy. There's a podcast on that. But it's it's a film that manages to marry the cinema de luxe style with Hollywood blockbuster sensibility, and the result is a film that is scientific nonsense, but very entertaining and enjoyable and filled with stuff that's exciting and interesting. And I hadn't seen anything like it before. Not only have I seen a film like his version of Dracula before, I can name the exact film. And when it's not ripping that off, it's lifting chunks wholesale out of Patrick Süskind's book, Perfume, the Story of a Murderer, filmed by Tom Tykwer, an excellent film. When you have Dracula controlling people with a perfume, rather than as in almost any other version of the story, just mind powers and hypnosis. Instead, we have this extra element added in, which is just ripped off from somewhere else and makes no sense and is just trying to do something different by plagiarizing a different source. It's one of the worst films of 2025. It's a film that never makes an argument for its own existence. And that's pretty much the worst kind of film where there is no reason why anyone involved should ever have bothered.